So this is Miyajima. And this is also Miyajima. Whether it's the charming island atmosphere, the rich historical legacy, or the pristine natural splendor, this renowned destination near Hiroshima has so much to offer for your Japan itinerary. And in this video, we'll dive into some of the island's main attractions, regional foods to sample, and areas to explore. And towards the end of the video, we'll go over some helpful tips to avoid the crowds, as well as the best time to visit for seasonal specialties such as cherry blossom viewing. But without further ado, here's why Miyajima might be worth visiting on your next trip to Japan. Miyajima, also called Itsukushima, is a small island that's about 40 minutes from the major Hiroshima Shinkansen station. 10 minutes of that travel time is spent on a charming and convenient ferry that departs approximately every 15 minutes. The island itself is most famous for this grand 16-meter vermilion torii that appears to float right on the ocean. It's part of the UNESCO World Heritage designated Itsukushima Shrine, a Shinto shrine that was first established in 593 AD. The shrine is built on stilts, which also gives it the illusion that it floats on the ocean during high tide. An insider tip is to look up the tide timetables online beforehand, in case you want to stroll up close during low tide. The second thing Miyajima is most famous for is its endearing deer population, which have been seen as sacred in the Shinto religion. While technically wild and free roaming, they've become relatively accustomed to humans and make for amusing company while walking about. And due to their recognition as animals of cultural significance, they're technically protected under Japanese ordinances. Therefore, it's best to respect the rules that prohibit feeding them with anything other than the designated deer snacks that can be purchased at the nearby shopping street. And speaking of the nearby Omotesando shopping street that's lined with various stalls and restaurants, now is a fantastic time to touch on the regional specialty cuisine of the island. For example, oysters are a regional delicacy of Miyajima, as the bay and surrounding nutrient-rich waters are prime for oyster cultivation. The choices are numerous, but we picked this restaurant as it was quite favorably rated on the major Japanese review sites, and it certainly didn't disappoint. Both types of oysters came straight from the surrounding waters of the island and tasted impeccably fresh. But if you prefer your seafood cooked, there's plenty of shops that grill them right on the spot with a variety of condiments, which was also quite enjoyable. Though if I had to choose between the two, I'd personally recommend experiencing them raw, as it felt like the purest way to appreciate the freshness, depth, and nuance of the oysters. Another specialty of Miyajima is the momiji manju, a small maple leaf-shaped cake filled with red bean paste, custard, or other various sweet delights. This spot in particular has been around for over 100 years and was one of the shops to pioneer the fried manju variation. And now let's take a look at Miyajima's stunning natural beauty. So much of the island's allure lies beyond the bustling streets around the port and more towards the outskirts of the heavily trafficked tourist paths. For example, the often crowded Itsukushima Shrine isn't the only beautiful historical point of interest in the area. In fact, there's multiple awe-inspiring spiritual landmarks sprinkled around the island. And if you really want to escape from the crowds, or if you simply want to bathe in the island's breathtaking nature, there are some well-maintained parks and hikes centered around Mount Misen, Miyajima's highest peak. At the summit, you'll find an astonishing panoramic view of the island's surroundings. You also have two main options to reach the summit. The first is via the scenic Miyajima ropeway, followed by a 20-minute walk to the observation point. For those who fancy a more adventurous trek, the hike is approximately 1.5 to 2.5 hours to the summit, with a choice of 3 different trails. While I can't speak on the other two, the popular Daishoin course was a simply spellbinding experience. You can also combine the two, such as taking the ropeway up and descending via one of the trails, but it's important to note that each of the hikes is fairly moderate in difficulty. With an approximate elevation gain of around 500 meters, the path can get relatively steep, and the descent time of 1 to 2 hours may be an important consideration for scheduling purposes. Overall, it's a bit difficult to fully encapsulate the beauty of this experience with just a few clips. But for those who enjoy nature, I'd heavily recommend the journey. And now that we've gone over a few of the island's main allures, let's talk about some of the tips to avoid the inevitable crowds, as well as how this is a fantastic spot for seasonal scenery, such as cherry blossoms. Regarding crowds, it's a bit tough to escape completely, as Miyajima is quite a famous and popular destination. But as mentioned before, moving further away from the main torii area towards the side streets and outskirts can certainly help you find more peace and quiet. Additionally, if you have some schedule flexibility, avoiding peak midday hours and arriving either in the morning or towards evening can greatly reduce the amount of crowding. While one drawback of arriving later is the main shopping street's fairly early closing time, the evening exploration can reward you with a completely different, albeit equally magical experience of the island. Even during peak cherry blossom season, the streets become virtually empty after dark, and the torii can still be enjoyed with its evening illumination. And speaking of peak cherry blossom season, some circumstances make putting up with the crowds worth it, such as the stunning beauty of the cherry blossoms around the island. Typically blooming around early to mid-April, a host of gorgeous cherry blossoms enhances the already picturesque atmosphere. And as a little tip, there are lesser-known nighttime illuminations dotted around, such as on the way to the Tahoto Pagoda. Little spots like this can give you the best of both worlds, the splendor of the spring sakura as well as the space to enjoy it in peace, sometimes having the whole place to yourself. To wrap up, Miyajima combines historical charm, natural beauty, and regional flavors for a truly unique experience. Whether you're visiting the iconic Itsukushima Shrine, meeting the friendly deer, hiking Mount Misen's scenic trails, or tasting fresh oysters, this island offers a delightful mix for your Japan itinerary. And that's all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and please feel free to subscribe if you're interested in seeing more Japan videos like this. Also, don't hesitate to comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks again, and hope to see you soon.